Welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to talk about coding for Matplotlib, some graphs. So we'll understand the basics. So let's talk about Matplotlib, and we're going to cover some basics such as lines, markers, and styling, and plot, figure objects, and basic line customization. First and foremost, we need to import the module, the package Matplotlib, and I'm gonna name it as plt. The next thing is I also need to import one other thing, important thing. You can see down below in the window that I'm also installing some packages, okay, to save my time. So I'm gonna import NumPy as np in case when you run and when the package is not installed, you can install it from here, or you can just put on the screen there will be an option to install the package, so you can also do that from here. Okay, so now let's just draw the simplest plot. Okay, just we need data, and we're going to use NumPy to generate an array of numbers from 0 to 10, and I will also add some spaces, just some steps. So let's say I will add 50 steps in between for a smooth curve. So let's say that x is my input, and I'm gonna call np, okay, the package NumPy, which is represented as np, and I'm going to add my line space. So I'm gonna add my line space, and here I will introduce my range. So my range is, let's suppose, from 0 to 10, and I also need to add the steps. So let's say that I add my steps, 50 steps. Now the next thing is that I need to define my dependent variable, which is y. So here again I'm going to call the package NumPy, and here I will, let's say I want to define sine graph, so I will call the independent variable x into the domain, into the input of the y function, sine function. And the most basic command that we use is we use plt.plot xy. This creates a figure in axis and an x-axis automatically. So the most basic command that we use that plt.plot, and here we put our dependent and independent variables, and this creates what does it do? It creates a figure in axis automatically. So you just have to call the command plt, and your graph will be drawn. So all I need to do is that I need to plt.plot, and I'm gonna put x, y. Okay, now I also need, now it is optional. Okay, so let me just do that plt.show. It is optional. Okay, it is optional, but in Jupyter it is optional, but good practice for scripts. So I will add plt.show. Okay, now the next thing that I will do is I will also do some styling and markers. Meanwhile, just let me run it and let's see if there is an error. Okay, one thing you need to remember that you should always take care of the spelling mistakes, and it happens in programming because you're always in a hurry. Okay, so you can see that this is our graph. It looks like this, and here you can see that we have maintained 50 steps. Okay, and this is how it looks. However, we can modify it, update it, and we can further add things that will make it more attractive. So now let's add the styling. So let's add the styling to our graphs, and to do that we need to come to the plt.plot. Okay, and here I'm going to add my independent variable x, my dependent variable y, and I will also add, I will explain it in a while what does it mean. Okay, and then you will understand. Here R double dash O means red R and dash line and circle markers are represented with small o, things like that. Okay, so here let me just run it so you can see it yourself. plt.plot. Okay, all I need to do is I need to just copy it. Okay, and I'll put it here, and from here it will be removed. Okay, and if you don't want to do it, you just have to plt.show right at below. Now if I run it, you can see that I got it in a circle form. Okay, so here 0 mean circle markers, and R is red, and uh, double dash is dash lines. So you can add so many things you want to. One more important thing that we need to add is that we also need to add titles. Okay, so we also need to add let's say, okay, let me just should I do it here or below? Okay, let me do it here. So let's add titles. So for title we use plt.title. Okay, and let me just remove it, plt. So we usually place it at the end, so not, because when you write codes below plt.show, then it will not be executed. So let me just add my title. Okay, so let's say sine wave with red dashed line. And the next thing I need to do is I also need to define the font size. So I'm gonna add the font size 14. Okay, and I also need to add the font weight. So let's say I add it as font weight. Let's say it's going to be bold. Okay, fine. And I also, okay, it is displayed automatically, but I'll remove it. I also need to add my X label. So for that I'm gonna call X label. Okay, and let's say that X axis let's say we just call it radians. And I also need to add my font size. So let me add my font size as 14, and font weight let's just add font size. Okay, remove the font weight. Okay, so let me just add it 12. Okay, now so we can have a difference between the title and and the X label. You need to take care of the spelling mistakes. Well, ABEL, not like that. We also so we also need to add our Y label. So our Y label is Y axis, and let's say this is our amplitude, and let's say our font size is 12 as the x-axis. Now we can also add other things, but let's just run it. Okay, syntax error, we forgot our comma here. Okay, need to put it, and we also need to remove it. Okay, this is extra. You can see that we also need to remove this, and now when it is run, you can see the graph. Okay, I add my x-axis, I also add my y-axis titles, and also add my title, and you can see that I choose the font size for the title 14 and the other 12 so that we the reader can focus on the font size. Now there are other things that we also need to include, so let's focus on that as well. One more important thing that we need to know and understand is that sometimes it is important to add a grid, and grid makes the plot easier to read. So let's just add grid. Okay, to add grid, all we need to do is that we need to use plt.grid, and here I'm gonna add true. Okay, and after that I also need to define my line style. Okay, so now I'm going to use okay, let me just write it, line style. Okay, you can choose different line style if you want to, but I will choose this style. Okay, and it makes it a dotted grid, and I'm going to choose alpha. I will tell you in a while what alpha is. I'm going to choose alpha 0.5, and alpha 0.5 makes it semi-transparent. Okay, now if I run it again, you can see the change here, and you can see that it's quite beautiful, and it's getting more professional and nice. Now one more important thing that we need to do is that we also need to add multiple lines and legends. Okay, multiple lines and legends. So to plot multiple lines, we just have to call plt.plot times before plt.show. So let's say that, okay, let's come to uh, multiple lines and legends. So multiple lines and legends. Okay, so for that all we need to do is define our y2. Okay, and np.cosx, let's say this is our new function. Okay, now we use the label parameter to name the lines for our legend. So again, you can just plt.plot and xy. Okay, so first it's going to be xy, and then let's say label. Okay, label is important, so I'm gonna use my sine wave. Okay, this is for the first line. Okay, and the second thing I need to do is that I also need to define my color. So let's say color is blue. Okay, so this color is blue, and line width is 2, which is fine. And the same we need to do is plt.plot, and this we need to do for uh, for y2. Okay, so x y2, And this time this is our label is not uh, our label is not sine wave, but this time it is cosine wave. Okay, because y2 is our cosine wave. And I'm gonna choose the color green so that we can see the difference. Okay, both are red and the reader will get confused. Okay, and let's okay, let me just go back. Okay, so let me just put it right green. Okay, and line width is fine, but one thing something else I need to do is I also need to add my line style to make it look different. Okay, so my line style is going to be in the form of let's say this, and then I'm gonna put my comma here. Don't forget your comma. Okay, so this is LIN, this is ES. Okay, you need to take care of the spellings. Okay, and when it is run, then you can see that, okay, you can see it here that it is beautifully drawn, and the green is our, you can see here, our cosine wave, and the red, the blue is our uh, sine wave. Okay, so it's beautifully drawn. Okay, now let's choose the position for the legend. So for that I'm gonna call plt.legend, and here I'm gonna use the command LOC, and it depends on you which where you want to put it. So I'm gonna choose upper right. Okay, and I also need to adjust axis limits to zoom in or out. So let's limit the y-axis to minus 1.5 to 1.5. So I'm gonna I'm gonna put my limit, y limit, and here I'm going to choose minus 1.5 to 1.5. And the next thing I need to do is that I'm gonna use a title, plt.title. Okay, and now I'm gonna call it sine versus cosine waves. Okay, and I'm gonna choose my font size 14, and okay, this is enough. Okay, and I'm also going to change my X label again. So X label, let's say my X label is time, and just time. Okay, so I'm gonna choose my X label is time, and I'm going to choose my Y label is plt.y label. I'm going to choose as plt.y label, and I'm going to choose it as value. Okay, so instead of amplitude, I'll call it value. Okay, when you run it, you can see it here below that it's quite clear now. This is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, and sine wave and cosine wave, these are all legends, and you can see it here. These are the labels are defined here, and then I choose the position of the legends. Okay, so sine wave and cosine wave, and you can see the style here. Okay, so the line style is, I choose this style for cosine wave. Okay, so I hope it is clear and it is not that difficult and it's easy. Now the last thing that we need to do is that we need to save it. Okay, so for that okay, so plt.plot, okay, x y, and all you need to do is you need to use plt.save. Okay, you need to use this command fig, and then here you can add save is the name. Let's suppose I call it my sine wave dot png. Okay, and more important thing is that I also need to add my dpi. So if it is 300, dpi 300 gives high resolution, and I also need to add the bbox command. Okay, so bbox in this at height, it means that prevents level from being cut off. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is that print, and all I need to do is just call it figure saved is my sine not change, and you are ready to go. And then all you need to do is just run it, and your picture will be saved. Okay, now let's see it in different now if I just copy it. Okay, just copy it. Okay, let's just copy these, and then I run it. You can see this is our simple graph. Okay, and if I face the rest here, okay, then you can see it here. This is what we did. This is the next part of the graph. Okay, you can do it all at once, but just have a look at what happened. And this is our second graph, okay, that we made from the first. So here this is just for the sin x, and now this is for both. Okay, I hope it is clear and you understood.